Hi guys, this is Anti-Cheetah here. Let's just have a brief review of the indicative present tense. This is Latin. This is basic Latin. Just a quick overview for people who need a review of any sort. So let's take a look at the verb from the first conjugation, specifically amare, and let's also talk about ducere, which is to lead. Amare is to love. Now, of course, when you conjugate verbs, what you want to do is first you want to identify the stem, which is the thing which does not change when you add the endings. Now here we see amo, amas, amat, um, and for the most part, it is the first three letters that you're going to see which don't change. Here it's duk, duko, dukis, dukit. Now, assuming that this is a review for most people, the endings are o, s, t, mus, tis, uh, and t. Uh, it's constant all the way throughout. Now, of course, present tense is just translated as what is currently happening. So he is blah blah blah. Don't get this confused with active participle in any sense. Just the most basic form that you'll see in Latin. Um, Now here, this is slightly more complex. This is an example of imperfect. Now, imperfect is was doing something, which is not necessarily. It's an action that is in the process of doing something. So, for example, I was living would be amabam. It could be translated as I was loving or I used to love. Now the endings for the first conjugation amare is amabam, bas, bat, bamus, batis, and bant. And for the duquere, it's rather similar. You have duquebam, duquebas, duquebat, duquebamus, batis, bant. So as you see, the for the most part, you just add a bomb, a boss, and a bot, just the normal endings, but you add a b, ba to the more or less the end. Again, note what the stem is because it will help you with building your verbs. Now, next is perfect. I'm just going to immediately show you these are the translations. Now, this is what happened in the past, but not the far remote past. So, these are, so I loved what you do for these endings for first conjugation, at least. You add a V, you take the stem and then you add the words V, isti, no, I, then isti, then uh, ti, then imus, and then istis, and then erunt. And you would see this habitually, yeah, as we see here. Now, the problem is for third conjugation, it's a bit more confusing. It's not the same. Now, for your kind of just going to need to know what the perfect stem is going to be. For many verbs, it might be irregular, but for the most part, just try following this formula and you'll get it. Again, just note the endings. It's I, isti, it, imus, istis, and erunt. And this is what happened in the past. So, just I don't know. I loved, for example, would be a good example. Um, Sort of similar to this, we have Plue-Perfect. Now, Plue-Perfect is thinking it as a more remote version of perfect. It is the distant past. And this is I had loved, you had loved, he, she, it had loved, we had loved, you all had loved, and they had loved. And again, we see that for a third conjugation, for a ducere, it does change. It is dux, again, irregular, perfect. Just make sure that you know these and you make sure that you know how to identify this. The endings are erran, erras, errat, erramos, erratis, errant. Now, just as we've covered, I want you to, for yourself, try to figure out what the stem is here and what the endings are. As I just mentioned, the endings are evident, but the main thing that you want to make sure that you know how to do is you have to be able to identify what the stems are, because if you won't be able to identify what the stem of a verb is, then you won't be able to form anything. And last, there is one of the most major irregular perfects is for the verb ire, which is to go. and it goes as you see here: I isti it, imus istis ierunt. Now these are slightly different forms. You should, of course, know both of these, but just follow this general structure if you want to preferably remember a good basis for irregular verbs. All right, that's it. Thank you guys. Bye.